Hello and welcome back to the Clock End Taproom. This is episode 6. Wait, we're literally one, and I still can't remember what the number is. I think it's 6. It was 6 or 7. I'll keep a better track of this from now on. Lovely. There you go. Episode 6. We're going to look at the Arsenal defence and goalkeepers today. We're going to do a fun little draft. But joining me, as always, you've got Nathan. How are you, mate?
I'm very well. I'm pulling faces because I've just seen Mbappe's goal. France are playing Iraq as we're recording, so yeah, that was tasty. But I'm very well. I'm all good.
Okay. And what about you, Fize? You all right?
All good, lads. Cheers, lads. Yeah, all good. Looking forward to it.
Let's get straight into it. So this is the Arsenal edition of the podcast, isn't it? So we've done the World Cup one already. That's
thank
a couple
God.
of days ago. Yeah, straight into the Arsenal stuff. We're going to do a draft of our favourite Arsenal players. Not necessarily the best, not necessarily who we think is the best, although obviously there might be a bit of crossover there, but the players we most enjoyed. And I won't tell you what drove this discussion, but Nathan almost got kicked off the podcast. But for that, Fize, you could pick first. You can have the first pick in this. Who's your favourite Arsenal player? We're doing the Emirates era, aren't we? So what, the last 20 years?
Yeah. So obviously, Alexis Sanchez was a sensational footballer.
Yeah.
He was a sensational footballer. And he just felt like, I don't know, I felt like we were turning a corner when we signed him. And he was electric everywhere.
That was straight after a World Cup, wasn't it? When he was incredible in that World Cup.
And
then we signed him, didn't we?
And the Copa before that, right?
Yeah, he was so good.
And it was just a perfect time for him to come to us. And I think we already had Ozil at the time. And it was kind of like the signing to unlock Ozil as well. And it was all of that. And he was just electric for the whole time he was with us. I don't remember him having a bad game. He was... And didn't we just miss out on Suarez? Like we made a really silly bid for him, £40 million and a penny or something like that.
I still maintain that was what the bid should have been. But, again, we could probably do a whole podcast on that stupid thing. I still can't really got away with it.
We wouldn't have bid that unless we were told that was an amount that would get him.
Yeah, exactly.
So
if that's a release clause, it's a release clause, isn't it? But,
right, and it's always lost in the conversation that he really wanted to come to us.
Yeah,
and there's like there are people talking him out of it. But that aside, anyway, Alexis Sanchez, sensational in just everything he did. He just was the South American. When you sign a South American, you're like, oh look,
yeah.
Jogo Benito, he's gonna be amazing. He's just gonna dominate games and he was everything. He was all of that. It was just the wrong time. We just couldn't build a team around him. But he was sensational. What a footballer. Free kicks, finishes. Didn't care who he played exactly the same. Just an all-round world-class footballer. And it was that famous merry-go-round that happens when Barcelona and Real Madrid go and sign a Galactico because they have to every year. That they let go of someone who's really good. And we've got Ozil the same way. And then we've got Sanchez. So, yeah, definitely Alexis Sanchez. My second one would be just an all-round fun footballer to watch was Santi Cazorla. I just think he's one of those footballers where I really enjoy a footballer who can play with both feet. Just really enjoy it. And the fact that he took corners with both feet just takes absolute liberties out of other footballers. He might not have been the finished article in terms of a lot of things because he was in a time when Spain had the best midfielders in the world. And he got selected for Spain but didn't play much. But just a joy to watch because he could just play anywhere because he was really good at football. So, yeah, that was really enjoyable to have Santi Cazorla in the team. And my last one is, surprisingly, Aaron Ramsey. So
stolen him from me. Can't believe it.
Well, I added him in because of just the conversation we've been having on WhatsApp and the vicious slander that he was subjected to by parties that shall remain nameless.
Yeah.
But it wasn't me or Dave. Put it that way. But yeah,
we almost didn't make episode 5, did we? It was
no. The less said about that, the better. We are in a healing phase at the moment. But Ramsey was that from that group of lads who, all the English lads were sitting down. He was the one that came good. He was the one that delivered big moments. I mean, he absolutely owned Tottenham, which is always fantastic. Even when he came off the bench, he'd owned Tottenham. There was a season, and this is after the leg break. Before the leg break, he looked really good. He was breaking into something which more resembled a previous successful Arsenal team. I remember him playing when like Henry was playing and things like that, and he held his own. He looked good, and then he broke his leg at Stoke, and then he got booed for the rest of his career by like people for someone else breaking his leg, which was just insane.
Yeah, bizarre.
But says a lot more about the people that booed him than himself. But it was the redemption story after that. There was a season that I think he got up to like 15 league goals by Christmas, and he was just shooting from everywhere, or he was just dancing through defenses, and he just carried the whole team. And I just thought, and he was sensational, mate. Honestly, he was sensational. It was him and Bale for Wales, but I just felt like, Bale obviously went into Real Madrid and went into some really serious things, but at a time, there was no comparison between the two. Ramsey was a superior player at a time, of course. But yeah, and I get it. There are some arguments, and we can make those arguments against any of those players. Maybe Sanchez excluded, but we could think of loads of players who, Cazorla included. Cazorla didn't really pull up any trees for us, didn't do massive things for us, but that free kick at Wembley, the performance away at Man City, we have these moments, players like Abu Dhabi, who we romanticize about. But Aaron Ramsey delivered Wembley and Wembley again. And we were shit, lads.
Yeah.
We can now confidently look back at that period and say we were shit. And we were lucky to be fighting for any kind of trophy. And he delivered both times. So for me, Aaron Ramsey, all day long.
Go on then, Nath. Give us your three. You can.
Well, I had Santi Cazorla at the top of my list, so yeah, I'm going to sort that one. So I'm going to go for, in no particular order, Olivier Giroud.
I can't believe I'm getting Giroud stolen from here. I thought that was going to be a bit of a wild one. I can't believe this.
I was absolutely devastated when we sold him. We sold him far too soon to the wrong team. He was absolutely. I still think he's one of the most underrated players possibly in football history. To be honest with you, I think he was that.
That's what 12 million or something, didn't we?
He was phenomenal. He could hold up play, but he was so much more than that. He was, he could play with his feet. You could play him in any sort of role up front, and he would deliver. He's what an
Arteta team's crying out for, I think, Giroud.
Absolutely, yeah.
As a striker, he would be brilliant for us.
He's everything, isn't he? He's what would you call him? A complete forward, would you say? Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal player. Absolutely loved him, and I love nothing better than when he scored and screaming the house down at my mum and dad's, shouting Giroud at top note and extending that for hours. That was just a highlight for me. So yeah, Giroud, Jack Wilshere. And I know Fize said, we romanticise about players, but I genuinely, and this is I don't say this lightly, I do think he could have been England's best player. And I don't mean at the time, I mean genuinely overall, he would have been up there for me with like your Gazers and people like that. I think he was that good. That game against Barcelona in the Champions League, where he bossed the midfield that had Xavi and Iniesta in it, and he was 17, 18, something like that. It's just a phenomenal, breathtaking performance. And he did that regularly. He really did, and he made it look effortless. Again, really good. I've said it a few times in the other podcasts about stuff that you can't quantify, and the eye test, and he passed that with flying colours. He was just a majestic player, absolutely majestic. My third player. And again, I'm struggling a little bit because, like I said, Cazorla was really high up on my list. I'm going to go for Rosicky.
Oh, good job.
Now, like similar to what you were saying, Fize, about Cazorla, didn't really pull up any trees. Yeah. But I think he just came at a time when, we needed a bit of a cult hero. Someone who, nobody outside of Arsenal is ever going to, pick Thomas Rosicky for anything really, are they? But just a bit of a fun player, a bit of a throwback player, and just had an absolute traction engine of a foot, didn't he? Like, he could break the net with his shots and stuff like that. So You know, just a really fun player to have, Thomas Rosicky. So yeah, that'd be my 3.
Nice. I can't believe some of these got stolen from me. I think anyone who follows me on Twitter.
I feel bad going last.
It's all right. Anyone who follows me on Twitter know that Aaron Ramsey would have been my number 1 pick. Absolutely love the man. Love everything about him. Everything Fize said, like plus 1,000. You know, love him. So, I mean, I can't believe I've actually got him. But Saka is going to be my first player because I think he's just the embodiment of everything. This last 8 years, isn't he? Of the Arteta era.
It's a great shout.
Saka, it's just everything about that squad. You know, Rice obviously is part of that as well, but as you know, he joined later, and Saka has been there from the beginning. You know, just before Arteta got it was when he first broke-through, wasn't it? And then just turned into what I think is a superstar, really. It's hard to say. I honestly thought Giroud was going to be my sort of like wild card shout, really. So I can't believe I haven't got him. I'm going to go for. It's not because I don't want to pick too many of the current team, but I could go for Saliba. But I'm going to go for another centre back. I'm going to go in Laurent Koscielny, who I think was just incredible. And at a time when, he played with some rough partners at centre back. Saliba's got Gabriel and they're a great partnership.
He had a shit undealt than Niffer partners. Koscielny, to be fair,
and Koscielny held that defence together, didn't he? Mertesacker had his strengths, and he was. An old school centre back, I guess. Mertesacker, wasn't he? He wasn't. I'm not sure how well he'd do in the modern game, really. When got to fight around too much, but he wasn't. Mertesacker wasn't bad, but he wasn't a superstar maybe. But Koscielny was incredible at a time, like you said with Ramsey before. At a time we were pretty terrible. Koscielny sort of like really did cover up a lot of cracks for us in defense.
Koscielny was a great emergency tackler, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And everything was an emergency for about 4 years in that defense. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And you really it's like keepers who get peppered. You really rate them, don't you? Because you're just getting peppered game after game, and you're keeping clean sheets. Fair play to you. And he was. There are moments though that kind of define players, aren't there? And I just feel like Laurent Koscielny in that Carling Cup final when Martin's done him. Yeah. And I just feel like after that, and look, remember, Koscielny's won 2 cups, FA Cups, Superior Cups afterwards, but I just think sometimes he was defined by that. Much like Giroud was kind of defined by this one game against Monaco where he just couldn't hit the target with anything. And he was set up like 10 times and he couldn't do it. And then I think after that, we just kind of, I don't know. Sometimes we talk ourselves out of it, because he was never going to be a quick player. So you have to play around that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But then we went and bought Lacazette, who was like even slower, and then we were and then we had to buy Aubameyang to fix that. I was like, okay, but I'll make you right though. I'll make you lads right. There are some honourable mentions though, aren't there? I mean,
well, I've still got one more.
Yeah, he's got one more.
Sorry, go for it. Go for it.
I've got one more, and I don't know if he'd even make the honourable mentions, to be honest, because I imagine some people hated him.
They're dishonourable.
But I absolutely love a bit of a Maverick player. And I don't think we had any more Maverick player in our sort of recent time than Andre Arshavin, because he might have done absolutely nothing for a whole game. Then he'll pop up and score like a wonder goal. Or, like when I think back to some of the best nights at Arsenal, that goal he scored in the Champions League, was it 3-2?
Barcelona,
2-1. Yeah. 2-1, yeah. He scored that goal. I'll just always remember that goal. Cutting in. It was a bit like the Messi goal tonight, earlier today, wasn't it? Same sort of setup, really. Comes across to him, and the hat trick at Liverpool and things like that. That game at Liverpool, I think he had 3 touches basically, scored a hat trick. I love that Maverick player, and
he was a brilliant player. I loved Arshavin. He was on a back.
Did so much. It was so frustrating, didn't he? But he was so good.
But was it? But see, those were the years where we had really diminutive little number 10s everywhere, and everyone had just decided to kick the shit out of us. Those 2 things happened to happen at the same time. It was just an insane time to watch football, because in those days, ironically, we were the ones playing football, and everyone was saying, "Don't like it up, yeah." And there was all that kind of stuff, right? Now we go around kicking people, and now it's like, oh well,
We're just doing things
for anti-football. Yeah, we're anti-football now, apparently. I enjoyed it.
I've just remembered my third player. I picked Rosicky because I love Rosicky, don't get me wrong, but he wasn't my third choice. I've just remembered who it was.
Go on then.
Fabregas.
Yeah, Fabregas.
Cesc Fabregas was just dragged us through so many games in that horrible period.
It's why I'll never be too hard on him for I know it wasn't great how he left, but
no, it wasn't.
He did a lot. He did a lot for us.
He was fighting for us, and it felt like the club weren't helping him. That's how I felt when he left. Like we weren't helping him, and he just got frustrated. He just got like, look, I don't have any more time. Do you want me to do this on my own?
There is definitely a dishonourable list that in the Emirates era who were fun players to watch, and they're probably, arguably, some of the best players. Because Robin van Persie was sensational for Arsenal for 2 years.
He was
sensational.
The goals he scored was outrageous.
Everything about him was. He just realised that he was really good.
Do you know what pisses me off
tears
about the goal thing that you just said then? How everyone raves about his volley for United, where he hit it first time. It came over his shoulder and he hit it first time into the bottom corner. And everyone was like, oh my God, it's the best volley I've ever seen. Mate, have you seen his volley against Charlton Athletic at the Valley?
Yeah, of course.
Are you actually telling me that that's not as good?
Well, even that first goal, he did it again about 2 weeks later against, I think it was against Liverpool, maybe?
Yeah.
He did.
He did basically almost the exact same goal. I think it was Song played the ball both times. It was it was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, Omri as well didn't get a mention, but I know he's sort of tailing. But then when he come back, that goal against Leeds in the FA Cup,
one of my favorite.
Such a magic moment, wasn't it?
Yeah.
To be fair though, it does feel harsh having Omri in the conversation because you pick him for every conversation, don't you? So it's like, right, we're
going to have a rule about that.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Omri's just in.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed Adebayor for the season before we sold him. I thought he was really good. That volley at White Hart Lane and but our club, we'll do this another time, lads, because we really should. But our club was a mess those years. Honestly, we were a mess. Van Persie left, and when he talks about it, okay, look, I'm not happy about him. But we sanctioned a sale to Man United. We didn't have to.
Yeah.
We didn't have to sanction it to Man United. We could have just done exactly what other clubs do and say, if you want to go there, it's 20 mil more. If you want to go there, it's 20 mil less. And we could have just done that. But then, we just went through a weird phase with Wenger where he was just, I've got to look at the players' best interests. No, you don't. Once they want to fuck off, no, you don't. You really don't. I couldn't care less where they go. But as long as they're not hurting us, right? Samir Nasri, the same. Adebayor. These were players I enjoyed watching for Arsenal. We've done really well to scout them. Fabregas included. I recently learned that Fabregas kind of refused to play for us for one game to force through the transfer to Barcelona. I don't know how accurate that is. Lads seem to tell me who really hate Fabregas. That's the reason why because I asked them because I didn't hate Fabregas. I still don't, to be honest. But it wasn't nice how he left.
No.
But we were a mess, man. And if you can't convince top players, which these were, that we're going to build a team around you and we're going to go for stuff, I think a lot of the lads that we don't like, we're kind of a little bit responsible for it as well.
We've also got a 60,000 seater stadium now as well, which I think is a humongous part of all of that.
What's hard is when you look back, the Emirates came at the exact wrong time. Like if we built it now, we could build it probably just off of one season's just Premier League money, couldn't we? A whole stadium, It came at a terrible time where money wasn't necessarily flooding in like it is now, and it really did tie us up so badly.
You make a good point, Dave. I mean, it's one of those things, lads, where you kind of, if you analyze it through one particular lens, you'll come to one conclusion. And there was probably about 6 or 7 prevailing sort of things happening at the same time, which were a problem for Arsenal. As you said, it was like a perfect storm.
Well, no one ever could have known that Chelsea and City could have come in, could they? You never could have known that.
Yeah,
like,
and cheated. So
yeah.
nobody.
Was Chelsea 2004? Was it Abramovich took over? Or 3? It was around that time, though, wasn't it? Just before our stadium, anyway, wasn't it?
It was Highbury. It's Highbury. It's Highbury when they came in. We were the last sort of few seasons at Highbury, and City as well. Later, injected club that unnaturally grew to what it was. And okay, look, but they're only part of it. And I think we will. We'll do a deep dive on it another time, lads. But there were a lot of mistakes, which, as you say, if we look back in retrospect, we done deals for like 10 years sponsorship. Who does that? Yeah. Just because the bank said you needed to have guaranteed income, or the bank told Wenger. It's another one I've heard. The bank told Wenger you have to stay, which anyone who understands finance or any kind of corporate world will tell you just didn't happen. You would not base money, lending a huge amount of money to an organization on the basis that one employee stays. Because if that was the case, why didn't the bank insist that we kept Van Persie? He was as important for us to get Champions League football every year, right? And I just kind of think that's kind of a made up thing. But funnily enough, Wenger sticks to that story, and I'm not sure. And as much as I love Papa Wenger, I just can't see. Imagine, your bank's going to tell you, well, I'm going to lend you the money for your house, but you've got to make sure you stay in the job. I can't guarantee that, mate. I can't. That's why I take out insurance. It just doesn't make any kind of sense. But look, should we do that one day, lads? Should we do the Emirates Era as a podcast?
Yeah,
we should, shouldn't we?
I think that's about an 18-part series, to be honest.
I think we should, lads, because it is the precursor to where we are, right? The Cronkies, all that. Yeah, I think we should. The
last 20 years is a story on its own, isn't it, of Arsenal Football Club?
Absolutely. But to see it, just to go back to the Emirates Era, we had some phenomenal footballers, and Wenger's talent ID was, even though the marketplace had become much more flooded. Nathan brought up Anelka a bit earlier. That's when no one knew about France. In the Emirates Era, everybody knew about France. Smaller teams were going out and picking up players who were and guaranteeing them first team football before we even had a sniff. There was a time when Liverpool went after players, predominantly in France, when they had Houllier. I don't know if you remember that period. And players that we were usually linked with would end up going to Liverpool or somewhere else. And there was all of that, right? But Wenger's talent ID, Koscielny was, I think he played second division football. In France, for Lorient or someone, right? And there was Samir Nasri, who was brilliant on his day. Bakary Sagna. These were lads who I'm pretty sure they all cost less than 20 million quid.
Oh, easy. Even the kind of like inflation and stuff of fees, they were still really cheap signings, most of those.
Yeah.
So there is a whole kind of thing that we did get. Wenger was still obviously very good at some things, but we spoke about Mertesacker. He didn't really pass any kind of eye test, right? Maybe Stevie Wonder's eye test, but that was about it. But it was.
There's a lot to unpick there, isn't there? There's a lot to unpick.
There is a lot to. Let's do that. Let's commit to that today, lads. Let's do an Emirates Era one.
Definitely. We've got a long off season still to go, haven't we? So we'll definitely do that in the coming weeks. Well, let's get on to the proper content of the show then. We're going to finish up. Well, we'll not finish up because we're going to do one more next week. The squad reviews, or going to look at the defence of the goalkeepers. Probably, I think when we were chatting about it, probably the least interesting of the bunch, really. First, the starters. Before we get into it, do we just agree that the starters are pretty much in place? Maybe left back a little bit, question mark between two players, but we're not going to go out and sign anyone, are we? I don't think that's going to replace any of the starters, are we?
No.
Yeah. There's not loads of those to talk about, but I think one real big thing going into next season that we've got to look at is the Saliba injury. It looked like he might miss the World Cup with. It's a back injury, isn't it?
I think
it's
so.
A back injury, right? Yeah, back injury. It looks like he's going to have surgery post World Cup, or at least that's what the reports were. Do do you think we sign someone to replace him, or I mean, Fize, is that person who will replace Saliba at the club already? Do you think?
Yeah, I think Mosquera is there. He did a really good job when he came in last year. My wife, same World Cup burnout could happen to Gabriel, and if we lose both of them, there's no team in the world football that can compete with that. That can deal with that. Having two of your best first choice centre backs out, so it's just going to affect us. I think from all the reports that I've read about Saliba's injury, because I was worried about that. It's not that serious. Things can get aggravated, of course, but it's just not that serious. So it's a small operation, and he's back to, and then we've got good options. We've got good options because our fullbacks can play centre back, so we're not overly stressed about that. I'm sure we'll talk about the fixtures at some point, but they don't seem too demanding in the beginning, like last season. So Mosquera's proved himself to be a decent player. So I'm quite comfortable with that. I'm quite comfortable with what we've got at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I mean, say he misses 6 weeks, 2 months, Nath.
Yeah.
I mean, how many points do you think that's worth to us? Do you think there's got to be? There's got to be a win or two here or there,
though, right? He is.
I think he is the best defender in the whole world. I don't think there's a better defender out there.
I agree.
If I'm honest,
I'm gonna say Gabriel's the better of the two. But that's not me. That's not me discrediting.
This is Ramsey all over again, isn't it? This is
no.
No, I'm joking.
If you're talking about top defenders, we've got number 1 and number 2 in my opinion. But Gabriel, is at the top. But yeah, missing Saliba, it'd be enormous. I really like Mosquera. I don't think he's done much wrong at all. And like Fize said, we've got fullbacks that can play centre back. I really want us to go and sign like a backup centre half, but just a proper one. None of this like hybrid can play out wide, can play defensive midfielder. Just I want a Mertesacker. Maybe a younger version of Mertesacker. Maybe I'd love like an 18, 19-year-old who's a bit raw, but is someone that will come in and provide that backup and hopefully be a replacement. Should Saliba might get his head turned by Real Madrid. You never know. One of them might get seriously injured. I'd just like us to have a bit of a, what's coming down the conveyor belt. We've got.
Well, there was about Gabriel a couple of years ago going to like one of the Saudi teams, wasn't there?
Absolutely, yeah. You just never know if these players are going to, let's just say that we'd won the Champions League as well as the Premier League. How many of these players are going to go, right, well, I've just ticked it all off with Arsenal, so I want to go and move somewhere else. And, a bit like Trent at Liverpool, Trent, looked at his trophy cabinet and went, there's nothing left to do. So, why would I not go and take the opportunity to go and play in a new country at a club like Real Madrid where I can still continue to win things? That might wind, I might, obviously Liverpool fans might disagree with that, but, that's just, as a player, I'd be thinking the same. I'd be like, well, I've taken everything off, and I've got this opportunity to go and do it in another country and experience, new experiences and all that kind of thing. So yeah, I'd really like us to sign just a solid centre back. Nothing wrong with Mosquera. I've got no problem with Calafiori or Timber filling in for a couple of games. I wouldn't like it to be a permanent thing. I'd just like, I know there was the young lad, wasn't there, from the academy? Is it Salmon? Who played a couple of games for us. I'd love to see something like that maybe as well if they think he's ready. But yeah, just go and sign someone who's a proper centre back, just for that extra layer of protection.
Well, it's weird because I got told not that long ago that from someone that was sort of would know these things, that teams are starting to sort of move back towards that sort of more of an old school centre back rather than the ball playing centre back, just because the way the game's going, with like athletes and football's got a bit more direct and stuff, isn't it? They're going back towards that more old school sort of centre back that sort of died out a little bit, at the top level especially, isn't it? Obviously there's a few of them around, but you don't see many Mertesackers out there anymore, is there? They're not out there playing the top teams anyway. Yeah, it is interesting what you say there about going out and getting someone like that, because it does seem to be the way they're moving back to again. It's weird how football goes in cycles like this, isn't it? But
well, especially if all your other players can play that other style of football, it's nice to have the you know, there's always a game where you're going to need the opposite of what you do.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have those players to come in and fill that role for you.
Yeah, bit of a no-nonsense centre-back.
Absolutely.
Well, another player that looked like he was heading out the door, but maybe things have changed now, is Ben White. Obviously, suffered a pretty bad injury at the end of last season. Nathan, I mean, do you see him still leaving, or do you think that injury is just the end of that for at least January or maybe next summer?
Yeah, I think the injury is going to be a big part of that. You know, how serious is that? Is it something he can recover from quickly and that kind of thing? You know, is he even going to be able to do a medical, never mind pass a medical and all that kind of stuff?
That's the thing, isn't it?
I really like him. I really like it. I do think we've moved on maybe from him.
Yeah.
He didn't have his greatest season last season for us when he did come in, but you know, the couple of seasons previous where he was linking up with Saka and Odegaard, our right hand side was phenomenal. Them three just clicked without even thinking about it. It was, you know, they were absolutely fantastic. And again, I think we moved away from that for some reason, and I think Ben White was the one who lost out the most. I think we have moved on, but I'd be sad to see him leave as well. I do like him.
That's fair enough. Fize, I mean, even if he stays, he might not be available for a long time. So there might be still a place we are looking at. You know, in this defence, we're probably not looking to sign many players, I wouldn't have thought, but right back is definitely an area. What sort of right back? You don't necessarily need to give me names, but would you want to go back to that old school sort of right back, or do you want like another Timber, or what would you be looking for in a right back signing?
Yeah, another Timber. That'd be nice. Actually, he's got a twin brother.
Yeah,
that could work. That could work. I agree with everything Nathan's saying about Ben White. I do love Ben White. I think he's brilliant. And he is another player that was just played into the ground, and because he's a soldier, absolute soldier. He just never shirked away from it. So whatever we give him is not enough, in my opinion. But there is a reality here, which is that he can't be sold. So he's with us. And we're paying him. So if he recovers, we've then got 3 right backs at the club. And I must say, when he came back into the team last year, he looked shaky. He looked like he hadn't played in a while, and maybe he is a form player that takes time to get back into the team again. I get it. Not everyone's like Timber, who's just like a robot. And it is one of those things. I hesitate to say that we will go back in the market for a right back. It will probably be a hybrid type of thing.
Yeah.
Just because of everything we've just mentioned, the fact that we may need cover at centre back. If all our players come back unscathed from the World Cup, we are still going to be short of rest time. They have to be rested at some point, and we just can't afford to play another 80-game season again or 60-game season again next year. So unless we want them all breaking down at Christmas, I can't see us not buying a right back. But I have hope for Ben White, and it's based on, ironically, the person that's usurped him, which is Timber. Timber had a horrible injury, came back as good as. So I've got hope. It's possible. With Timber, he won't have to play as many games, and I just think that there's a possibility he could come back good. Let's see. But otherwise, if I know Arteta like I think I do, I think he goes into the market and gets someone.
Yeah, I think so.
And that is the line drawn, unfortunately, for Benjamin White.
Yeah, it's hard to White because he does just feel like one of them. It just makes sense business-wise, doesn't it? Because he can still bring in a half-decent fee, I think. Or at least pre-injury this was. Probably right for him to go and get regular time. He's obviously started playing for England again, got back in the squad there.
Yeah,
he's not young. He's he's not old either. But it just made a lot of sense to me. But
yeah, he'll probably end up at a Newcastle or something.
Yeah,
or
Everton maybe. That sort of level of club, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he will end up with something like that. Who will play him and give him the time he deserves. But it's one of those things. I know we're talking about defense today, but there's a few lads here who by winning the league this year, and it sounds horrible, but that's kind of the end of their project. That's the end of their involvement with this project. And Ben White, my one of my favourite players, but I think it's the end for his project. You know, we've spoken about Odegaard and Martinelli and people, and I think Ben White's in that kind of predicament. So, yeah, unfortunate, but we all like Ben White, but I just think that there's a ruthlessness to Mikel Arteta that I really enjoy over like Arsene Wenger, for example. Arsene Wenger would have not bought anyone and backed the player to come back and get back into fitness and get back in. I'll believe in you, sort of thing, you know. And I enjoy the fact that Arteta just says no, sorry.
What's weird with White, like as we said, we've got so many of these hybrid players, but when he came in, he was as a centre back, wasn't he? And then he's pretty much never played there for us, really, is he? I think he had a few games early on, but I think got moved to right back pretty quickly.
But lucky, look, both of you said he's really good. He was really, really good with Saka and Odegaard, wasn't he?
Oh, it was great. That right hand side, and he was a massive part of that, was so strong for us, wasn't it, in that time? But yeah, it's a shame how it sort of played out for him in the end. But
yeah,
teams have to move on, and he's as you say, he is one of them that his project has probably come to an end with us, I guess, which is a shame. We mentioned a little bit already, but over on the other side, at left back, I mean, Nath, who do you see as the number one of the the two left backs we've got? Or do you think it will just be a opponent dependent sort of thing? We'll see one week, one next, or do you think one of them will make it their own job, make the job their own?
I think it's great that we have this question as a starter for 10, whichever one you want to pick. I think it's great that we can have this conversation because we've got two starting left backs, haven't we? They're both starting left backs. For me, I would pick Calafiori. And again, it's just a stylistic thing for me. I just really like him. Eye-catching. I think it might even just be his hair, just the way that he, just what he's running, he's just phenomenal, isn't it? No, but in all seriousness, I just think the way that Arteta's playing, I think he's the better defender of the two. Especially with the fact that he can play centre-back, so he can sort of drop in a little bit when Saliba likes to go wandering. Calafiori can come and just slot in. And he can make it into a 3 as well. He can play as a 3. And I think he does better in the weird left-back to central midfield thing that Arteta suddenly started doing as well. He did it with Zinchenko first, didn't he? Where Zinchenko just started popping up in midfield and we were all like, why, what? And then Arteta was like, no, it's we want that to happen. I think Calafiori does that well. So it's close, don't get me wrong. I love Nketiah. I think he's great coming forward. I think he's one of them defenders, a bit like Gabriel, just fucking loves defending, loves a tackle, proper nasty, that South American kind of, I'm not just going to tackle you, I'm taking you all the way out, I'm taking the ball, but you're coming with me. And I love that, that mentality. But for me, Calafiori just edges that.
Where you, Fize? Do you agree?
Yeah, spot on. Yeah, there is they are almost clones of each other up until physically anyway. And defensively as well. And there is just one little X factor that Calafiori has over Hincapié, and that's that he's just magnificent on the ball. I think a lot of people can look at this and will look at it, and there'll be friends of ours who will say, "No, he's too risky. He doesn't know. He's positionally doesn't know where he is," and I think that's nonsense. I think he's an excellent footballer. It's like the whole Mourinho concept. I think Calafiori does these things, and it's not kind of an exuberance. I don't think it's a character flaw or something which he does because he's mad or he's wild. Sure, I get it, but he's Italian, mate. They know how to defend, you know what I mean? Not to generalize a whole country, but it is a widely held view in football. Italians are pretty good at defending, but he adds something when he goes forward. He adds something, and we're not able to quantify it, but it's exciting, man. And I think he's just got that over Hincapié, where he will link up in the intricate parts of the football, and we need that. We need that. We need to do something with the left-hand side, and the first building block is Calafiori. Now, if you guys want to ask me whether I think he'll play that more than 10 times a season, that's a different question altogether, because that's the elephant in the room, right? He plays 3 games and he's out for 3 games, and I don't know what we do about that because he is a seriously good footballer. And I don't know what Arteta's patience is like with that. I think he'll definitely be here next year. After that, I don't know, because it won't be because of the lack of what he does on the pitch. It'll be just because he doesn't play. So hopefully,
I am going to disagree with you both because I'll go Hincapié, but like Calafiori, there's just a couple of things. It's not even necessarily his fault, I don't think, but I hate how Arteta uses him. I hate that he is inside and like basically playing left back /10. I hate that he's there. I hate him in that position. Like I don't know. I just really don't like him there because I just think he clogs it up. We mentioned it already on like previous episodes that I hate that style of fullback where I think Hincapié is more of a traditional fullback. I still think he does some of that stuff, but and as you say, I just don't trust him to even like towards the back end of last season. He couldn't even play 2 games in a row, let alone 3. Yeah. It was a real struggle for him to actually like, stay on the field, and I don't know. I don't think you can trust. I think you need more than that, and I think to me, he falls into the same place as like a Havertz or Odegaard, who we spoke before in like previous episodes, where if an offer came in, because I think Madrid were rumored to be interested at one stage, weren't they, in him? Yeah. If an offer came in, I would be looking at it for him. And it's not even necessarily about the player he is. I think he's a great footballer, as you've both said. Like he is a fantastic footballer. I just think there's just some red flags that I'm not necessarily sure are ever going to get better. And, and I don't know. He's a tough one. I love Hincapié though.
So let me put a question to both of you about that.
Okay.
Do you think that he is more adventurous because of how he is, or do you think he's more adventurous because of the urgency that's required in the game at that time? Do you think it's just naturally how he plays?
I think it's just his character personally. I think that's just he's a bit of a I guess a bit of a maverick. I don't know. It's hard to know, isn't it? Because I think he's doing exactly what Arteta wants him to do. I don't think it's like a
that's my
mistake that happens, but I think it is also. I think it's a bit of both, really. I guess would be my answer.
What do you think, Nathan?
I don't know.
Is this for Hincapié? Yeah.
No,
Calafiori. For Calafiori.
Do you think it's by design, or do you think he can't control himself?
No, I think it's by design. I think it is by design because when he first came in, he wasn't really doing that. I don't think. I think it was only sort of later on when Arteta was messing about things that he started bombing forward and getting into those number 10 positions and things like that. I think it's more of a coaching thing rather than a Calafiori thing.
When he first came in, he lost his job pretty quick, didn't he, to Lewis Skelly? And then start of last season, Lewis Skelly just got like frozen out, didn't he? Really, it was completely out of there. And Calafiori was obviously just back in favour. It was.
But what position does Lewis Skelly play?
What, next season?
No. What is Lewis Skelly's position?
At the time, he was left back, wasn't he? But he's central midfield.
Well, he was always playing there, wasn't he? But
so Arteta puts him at left back, but he's a central midfielder. So did he put the more naturally central midfield player in to fit the system? Is what I'm saying. In other words, Calafiori's doing it because he's being told to. Didn't do it well enough, so he got rid of the defender to put the midfielder.
Yeah, I take your point. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. I think it's by design. I think Arteta likes that.
Don't get me wrong. I think any player loves bombing forward, don't they? We've seen Saliba do it a few times where he's done it well. Don't get me wrong. I'm not criticising. He took a couple of players on and then played an all right pass. That's something that I noticed with Saliba last season was his passing seemed to have just deserted him. Like he played some really weird passes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I
was going to say as well, Dave, you made a great point about the rotation thing, horses for courses. I think it will genuinely depend on who we're playing as to which one of those two starts. I think that'll have a big say in who starts.
What are you going to say first?
I was going to say that when Calafiori was bought, I assumed it was cover for Saliba. And he's kind of found himself on the left wing, or cover for Gabriel. I just thought he was the way his profile, right? His size, his poise, the way he breaks the lines.
Well, I think
with
he
his
played
passing.
centre back more than he played left back, and he before he came to us.
Yeah,
That's what I mean. That's what he plays for Italy. Doesn't play left back for Italy because the other fella, the Inter Milan left back, plays there. So with that in mind, look, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Arteta says, "I'm moving Calafiori in to cover for a prolonged absence of Saliba, for example, or someone else." And I tell you what we're going to do, lads. I'm going to go buy a left back who can play right back.
Yeah, it's a great show.
So,
well, especially where he's going to have had the summer off as well, isn't he? Where Italy obviously on at the World Cup. He's going to be one of our more well-rested players. So.
Yeah. So he'll play 5 games before he gets absolutely twanged again. We'll see.
Hope that's enough.
Yeah. But lads, I mean, the elephant in the room with the defense discussion. Sorry, I know we're moving on, but the elephant in the room, the discussion always going to be is, like Nathan said, we've got number 1, number 2 best centre backs in the world. How do we back that up?
Yeah.
Who's gonna want to come and play? Who's either got a lot of potential, won't get game time. Knowing Arteta, won't get game time. And secondly, even if we convince them to come, like, how much are we willing to pay for someone that doesn't play that much? So we're in that kind of conundrum now where, like, we've just got 2 excellent players, right?
We're finding the Mascaras of the world, isn't it? Who's
maybe
not
it's going to be
well known. Who, you can uncover someone. Who maybe Mascara moves on in a year or 2, for probably a decent fee, and then you try and find another one, isn't it? That's sort of how you have to play that, I guess. But it's a tough.
But they won't be Saliba, and they won't be Gabriel.
No.
They just won't be.
No, they just never can be. Well, we'll get on to Saliba and Gabriel again in a second. We'll do one quick bit. Kepa's our backup goalkeeper. I mean, I was fine with this signing last season. For me, it is the least important position, pretty much the whole squad. Like, I feel like if your first choice goalkeeper goes down, then it just is what it is. Like, the goalkeepers don't get that many injuries, do they? Like, I don't want to invest too much money into that position. Like, either of you too bothered either way on who your backup goalkeeper is?
No, not really. I'd like to see one of the young lads have a shot at it. Is it Tommy Stepford that we've got? I'd like to see him.
I'll be fine if say we sell Kepa for whatever reason. Someone come in for him. I'm fine with just going with a younger guy or random veteran. Like
yeah.
I would like Kepa to leave.
Would you?
Okay.
Yes, I would like Kepa to leave. Just because if someone's going to make a mistake in goal, make it one of the young lads. Put it down to youth, to learning. If you're an experienced goalkeeper, Kepa is one of the worst goalkeepers I've seen in a very long time. He is terrible. He was terrible for Chelsea, and he decided to play for us in the Carling Cup final and then cost us the final. So, with that in mind, lads, bye. And I would like just give that chance to a young keeper. Make somebody, go and invest in a young keeper. I don't know, like Tommy Stepford looked half decent in pre-season. Give him a chance. How worse could he be? Because Kepa's doing the same things, right? He was doing at Chelsea. I mean, I couldn't, fine. Look, it's a good backup thing, but as you said, it's not an important position. Would I trust Stepford if Raya got injured? As much as I would trust Kepa, unfortunately. So yeah.
Again, Stepford did a great job for me in Football Manager before, and I've sold him a few times. He's been
sold him for like 30 million.
Pretty good over the years. Yeah. Well, so if that says anything, then I think he'd be fine for us.
I think that's nailed on, isn't it? If Football Manager said that he works, then that's nailed on.
So,
yeah.
Well, let's go on to the last bit of this episode then. A fun bit. I feel like we've done these at the end of every one of these. We did Rice last week, didn't we? Let's talk about Gabriel and Saliba. Are they the best centre-back pairing we've ever had? Because I don't, we've had some pretty legendary pairs over the years, but I don't think we've ever had two centre backs this good, have we? Fize, you got any arguments for anyone else?
Oh yeah, we've been blessed with really good centre backs over the years. It's hard to put anyone ahead of Tony Adams because he came through the club. He always played for us. He didn't play for anyone else. And he won everything as the captain. So it's a difficult conversation to have. But then most of the people that will listen to this will probably not remember a time when Tony Adams played for us. So it just, there is a bit of recency bias involved and things like that. But
of course,
to keep it, and then the biggest banter thing that to ever happen to us ever was we decided to sign Tottenham's captain one day for nothing, who they said was the best defender in the world, and we just signed him for nothing one day. Just turned up pre-internet days, just turned up one day at the training ground, and we were like, "What? What a time to be alive!" So that
he had a pretty good pairing with Kolo Touré as well. Touré,
he was an
underrated player in our history.
So Kolo Touré was someone that was really good but failed every eye test. But that's you just looked at him and went, "What are you doing?" And he was very much like Calafiori. So he'd play full-back and he'd just be running, bombing all the way up there. I remember there was a game away at Leeds and he was taken on the full-back from centre-back.
Yeah.
And he was trying to, I think it was Ian Hart or someone, or Danny Mills or someone, he was trying to tear him a new one and ended up getting a tap in. But Kolo Touré. So just going back to, so we've been blessed with really, really good centre backs, and that just kind of harps back to the fact that we've been a successful team. So we're going to have our pick of good centre backs. Now, I think what's really important about Saliba and Gabriel. So as you say, you can argue the toss over them, but they are the two best centre backs in the world. I don't give a shit what anyone thinks. But not important who's better than who, because like Nathan said, I've got a mate who literally swears by the fact that Gabriel is the superior of the two. I personally am a Saliba man. However, I don't think we've had a better partnership. I don't think so. We might have had better individual defenders in one way or the other. But yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb. If they win the Champions League, this debate's over. But until then, it's still a debate. But partnerships, I'm going to say this is the best partnership we've had.
Yeah, it's obviously legend-wise, the Arsenal back four in the George Graham era. Adams with either Bold or Keown, whichever one you want to pick out of the two. But I mean, none of them are, whoever you want to choose your number two, are they? Out of Saliba and Gabriel.
Yeah.
What about you, Nath? You gonna go to bat for anyone else?
Well, I think we've got three generations to talk about. We've got Adams and Bold, but they were part of a legendary back four. Back five if you want to include the goalkeeper, and then you've got Campbell and Kolo Touré, who I think are criminally underrated. Everyone remembers the Invincibles for Perez, Henry. Even Gilberto Silva gets a mention, rightfully so. Those two were absolutely rock solid at the back. Absolutely rock solid. A lot of what we did stemmed from them two being so good, and not conceding goals. But for me, I think pound for pound, Gabriel and Saliba, they just complement each other so well as well. Saliba's your Rolls Royce, Gabriel's your animal. Kind of a bit like Adams and Keown. Adams was the Rolls Royce of those two, whereas Keown was genuinely just an animal, wasn't he? Where I think Gabriel and Saliba are more refined, but still fit those two roles. But yeah, if we're talking duos, them two for me. And like you said, Fize, I don't care what anyone says. They are 1 and 2 in the world for me. I'd throw an argument to Marquinhos. I really, really like Marquinhos at PSG. I think he's a wonderful, wonderful defender. He really is. But yeah, when you talk about duos, there's definitely no one comes close as a centre-back pairing in the world at the moment for me.
I think Marquinhos is just ever so slightly on the decline, which would just put these two above them. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's not like, you know, I'm not slagging him off or anything, but you know, I think he's just slightly on the, you know, coming on the back end of his career, isn't it? 30, was he 32, 33 now?
It's a bit like Thiago Silva at Chelsea. You know, he was a phenomenal defender, but was definitely on the decline. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But still amazing.
Yeah, it's nothing against him. It's just it just happens. Like, he's still incredible. But
it's literally just a timing issue.
So you're spot on. Thiago Silva was a great player, and I think I'm not one of these sort of like people who think that if you have to come to the Premiership or the Premier League to prove yourself as a good defender, but he did. And I think you have to rate Thiago Silva for that. Marquinhos, I like him, and he's a Champions League winner. You can't argue with that. But you know, playing a decent league, and we'll think about it. You know,
that's a good place to end that, really, isn't it?
Okay.
We might as well. That's you know,
not for my comments. That's not, but yeah. There we go.
Of course it is. You love them comments, really.
I love the attention. Yeah.
Right, before we go, we mentioned on the last podcast, but you know, still plenty of time to enter. We are doing a shirt giveaway. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like us everywhere. Easiest one, subscribe right now. You're watching this, subscribe. Let us know you subscribed, and you get an entry. And for that, you can win the brand new, incredible away shirt that we're going to be releasing this year. So yeah, make sure you do all those things. Every single one you do gets you an entry. You can find that on all our social media stuff. You'll find more details about that there. So go and like those pages, subscribe here, do all those things. Give us a review, whatever else there.
Get involved. Yeah,
get involved. Definitely. So we think this is pretty fun to do, and hopefully pretty fun to listen to. So yeah, make sure you're getting all the latest from us by subscribing. Well, cheers, lads. That was another great episode. I think we're going to do Arteta next week, aren't we? A review of Arteta. I think that could be a fun chat. I think we're all at different places with Arteta, aren't we? Really, I think we're.
Why do I feel like I'm getting kicked off the pod again next week?
No, it's all right. That one could be okay. I'll be the one getting kicked off the pod probably, because I'm more in the you know, I'm probably the Arteta skeptic still in the group, I think. But you know, we'll get to that next week anyway.
No spoilers.
Yeah.
No comment until next week.
We're gonna have a load of rows next week, so make sure you tune in and subscribe. Loads of beef next week. It's gonna be kicking off.
Bring your popcorn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And if anyone else wants to get involved in the beef, just get involved in the comments, and we'll call you out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
we need more comments, because we get plenty of people listening to this for like the first few shows, and not enough comments on there. So, make sure you're early.
Get involved. Tell us we're wrong.
Tell
us we're wrong. Tell us how.
You know, I won't believe you if you tell us we're wrong, but you know, you can try.
Yeah, exactly. But if you make us laugh, you never know. We might invite you on.
Yeah, definitely. We're happy to have some people on. But yeah, until next week, we're back for the Arteta review. Back with more World Cup stuff. We'll see you then.
Catch you all later.
See you, boys.